I'm Scott.
I'm Ben.
And this is a review. On today's episode, which is episode 40, we'll be reviewing Mid90s. Mid90s stars Jonah Hill as the writer and director. Watch as he copies the most bland film students of all time and makes a terrible, terrible movie. All right, so full disclosure, we didn't make it through this. I know after I Feel Pretty, we promised we wouldn't walk out again. I think we walked out with, I think there was 20 minutes left. We couldn't do it.
After the longest hour of our lives,
When we
absolutely, completely and utterly devoid of any entertainment value whatsoever for a full 60 minutes.
When I realized, that we had only been watching for an hour, I didn't know how long it was, but I said I couldn't take any more.
Yeah, we
like
just had
any amount. Like if it's at least the minimum 90 minutes, I can't make it 30 more minutes.
Not at all.
So Ben, what did you think about Mid90s?
Well, imagine what it's like, what it would feel like to leave the theater, walk to your car, and then drive in the car back to your home and have it be nominally more entertaining than the previous over the about 10 minutes of time, and have that be more entertaining than the 60 minutes of a film that
was about kids skateboarding.
Yeah, kids skateboarding in the 90s, and it was the most boring fucking shit.
How do you make that
ever?
Okay, so this is like Jonah Hill's directing debut, right?
I think so.
His writing and directing debut.
Certainly feature debut.
Yeah. And it honestly feels like he sat down and was like writing the skateboard movie and then he saw the Florida Project and was like, holy shit, I need to make the Florida Project, but I don't know how, so I'm gonna make this piece of shit. Like, this movie gets a lot of like unknown or first time actors.
Yeah.
And it's just about them just being kids, and there's a lot of just like...
It's very slice of life.
Vignette. Yeah, it's a lot of the words and phrases you would use to describe the Florida Project. But the Florida Project's a good movie. Anyways, this just feels like... It feels like indie Oscar bait. Like, it doesn't just feel like Oscar bait. It feels like indie movie bait. Where it's like, it's called Mid90s, it's A24, which we always suck A24 off, like, constantly on the show, except for Thoroughbreds. And...
This was way more boring than Thoroughbreds.
Yeah, this was just boring and flat. Like, the cinematography is very flat, and the editing is very flat. There's no style here whatsoever.
It's very point and shoot.
Yes. It's just, things happen in a sequence of events. There's some things that link them together, I guess. It's basically the kid decides... So the star of this movie is an actor named Sonny... What? Sonny... We're not going to say that. Sonny...
Suljic?
Sonny Suljic.
Suljic?
Sonny Suljic. I don't know. He's in The House with the Clock on Its Walls right now. That's the other movie he's in. He's a kid. He has a kid face. He has... zero other defining characteristics in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it honestly feels like this kid lived for, like, 12 years or however old he is in the movie and was just blank slate. And then, like, this movie started happening, and then it's like he woke up and went outside.
Yeah. He all of a sudden became a person in, like, the maybe 2 months of the time crossed in this movie. Like, yeah, he literally
goes from zero to like something, but it's like literally there's nothing there. He's just like walks around and it's just like he doesn't talk, he doesn't emote, he doesn't express interest in anything. He's like, it's like a little sociopath, like pretending to be interested in things. Like,
he goes is a little sociopath.
He is. He goes in his brother's room and is like writing down the names of bands, and he's like, okay, these are bands. I now know what bands are.
It's like a little alien. He like rakes himself with a hairbrush, like to punish himself. Like there's a lot of very uncomfortable like self-harm, masochism.
Yeah, there's something going on with his family where they have some deep-seated issues that we never quite understand, which, we walked out. Maybe they have this huge revelation about why the kid was choking himself with a PlayStation controller in the last 20 minutes.
Sounds like my Saturday night.
Oh jeez.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, we're definitely not into kink shaming here at This Is a Review. I mean, you be into what you're into,
That's
but
right.
it was weird. It seemed very.
Where were the kids doing it?
Well, it came out of like you're right. They did have the moment where he steals money from his mom to buy a skateboard, and he starts like raking himself on the leg with the brush, and it's like, is he punishing himself?
Like a flagellist.
Yeah, and then later he's fucked up, and he
gets in a fight with his
brother, and then like he goes in his room and it looks like he's just like roid raging though.
Yeah, he's like flexed out, like playing the choking game by himself.
He's like literally holding two ends of the cable and like pulling them against each other. It's like, okay, I don't know. It feels like somebody trying to be deep. I mean, like the kid is too young for this stuff. Like maybe that's out there. I don't know. I'm not trying to like say that it's not, but it feels out of left field.
Yeah, it's very incongruent with like the rest of the movie. Like the rest of the movie, like you can at least relate to, I think, even if you didn't grow up as like a little skater punk. And
well, I think that's the problem, is the movie is very specific and like it, like, okay, I have an older brother that I lived in his shadow when I was growing up. He didn't beat the shit out of me. We got along pretty well, but like I was like trying to get with this character of like, okay, he's trying to like look up to his brother, he's trying to like impress him, he's trying to like be something that he's not. And I definitely relate to all those feelings, but like they don't take it in a very relatable direction from there. Like there's a baseline of like, okay, his brother obviously is insecure, so that's why he's doing what he's doing, and like there's some insecurity going on with his family. It's like the younger brother looks up to the older brother who's insecure, so that he has his insecurities. There's something there, but like it just doesn't come out in a way that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's really poorly realized.
I'm like grasping to get to that. I know that's
material.
I know that's what it's
justified
going for, but it's not really there. Like it's like little nuggets here and there.
Yeah, it's just like little flashes, and you with really no other context at all. Like you just like see these little. It's like vignette to, obviously, to way much like a fault, because it's just.
Well, we don't get enough of the main character's point of view, he's in every scene. Like he's the character for every scene. It's not like one of those movies where we're popping around to different people. Like he's always the focus of the film. And we don't get inside his head at all. Like he's completely you cannot figure him out. Like there's a point at which all of a sudden he's like chatting up this girl at a party, and like this is like male fantasy to like 1,000 degrees. Where like this is like what you imagine it's like to talk to a girl at a party. You know what I mean? Like this is like every guy's fantasy of like the perfect score. Like, oh yeah, I'm just like acting like I don't care. I'm gonna sit in the corner and not say anything. Hot chick's gonna approach me. She's just gonna keep asking me questions. I'm not gonna give her really any response, and she's gonna be so into me because I'm mysterious. And it's like that girl would have fucking walked away.
It's really off-putting because like this kid is a very like baby-faced.
Yeah, he's young.
So he
looks really young.
He could play like 7 or 8, and like he's supposed to pass as like a 13-year-old.
How old is he supposed to be in this movie?
I don't know.
That's one of the things is they constantly.
He looks so goddamn young. It's like he looks like he's a kindergartner. Like he looks so he's so small, and just like I mean, seeing him like get all fucked up, it's just like no.
I know what you mean. I would at least give it like he looks like 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah,
but like fourth
we're
grade,
pushing that. Yeah,
but like I thought that's where I couldn't tell where it was supposed to be. Like
it's probably like early middle school.
It would make the most sense would be 7th grade.
Yeah.
7th or 8th grade, like, with what's going on contextually with, like, drinking and smoking and, like, getting, like, that's young for that age even, but, like, the skater punks, that's when they get into that shit. You know what I mean?
He's 13 in the movie, but he does not look a shade over 9.
No, you're right. You're honestly right, though. Like, he does look too young, and, like, I guess that's supposed to be part of it, is, like, he's insecure or whatever, but, like, I don't really think he is that insecure.
No,
he
just fits in pretty quick with the gang.
He just seems kind of dopey.
Yeah.
Like, he just doesn't seem like he knows anything.
His initiation is like he went and filled up their water jug. Like, he doesn't get hazed or anything at all.
That's the weird part, is there's this...
Oh, yeah!
Because that's the thing that's missing, is, like, once again, there's nothing to this character. So, like, Stevie. I had to like, think for the last 10 minutes what his name was. That's why we haven't said it. His name is Stevie. They call him Sunburn in the movie, which I'm going to get into that in a minute. That doesn't make any fucking sense. And I'm really mad about that nickname, but just hold the phone. So... the initial, like, getting into this movie is he sees the kids hanging out skating, and you're like, okay, he wants to be a part of that. Why he doesn't have any of his own friends, we don't know. We never see him interacting with anybody at school or anybody other than his brother, so we don't know why. But he doesn't apparently have any friends or anybody in his life other than his brother, his brother Lucas,
some shady looking motherfucker,
Lucas Hedges, who has a hard on for beating up his brother until he doesn't. It's weird. So he wants to be a skater kid. And then the next scene, he's just sitting in the back watching them skate. There was never a moment where, like, he like, figured out how to go to the back and, like, join it. He just kind of was hanging out there with a skateboard. Like, he got a skateboard and just sat there. And, like, okay, if that's how shy he is... then show us, like, he's even too shy to go and sit back there. Like, he's got to figure out how to get invited to go back there. But he's not. He's not so shy that he can't just join in. So then you think, well, okay, then he gets along with these skater kids right away. Then why didn't he have friends?
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously not so socially inept that he can't just, like, get along with people. So where are the other kids in this kid's life? That's the first question I have.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's like he wants friendship. He's obviously seeking that out. We don't see him failing to do so with other people. It's like, why is it that, like, this is the first time he's found friends?
Yeah, it's like too sliced and diced. It's like, just parceled and segmented out to where it's like, oh, these things are happening. There's, like you said, there's nothing to the character. There's no motivation why. There's no context.
He's just a loner, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like there's nothing. We're grasping at straws here, just like trying to figure out what the deal is because there's no material there.
I know that's
empty.
And that's like
movie.
That's what's frustrating about it is, like, once again, like, this movie appeals to people like us. Like, this is pretty close to when we grew up. It's a few years before, I was born in 92, so this is like...
Our movie would be late 90s.
Late 90s, or early 2000s.
Early aughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just like... It's just frustrating. There's nothing there. It's just like, there is. There's something there, but it's just nothing done with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's super... Like, I don't even want to call it surface level. It's like what's the word for, like, there's nothing there, there's only stuff, it's too abstract?
It's an imitation of reality. It's like, okay,
authentic?
So here's the thing about Jonah Hill, is he's not a real person. Full disclosure, this is just the caricature of Scott saying this. Me and Ben are not, there's real people that are like us in real life, but this is just characters we're playing for this podcast. And the character of Scott is telling you that Jonah Hill is a fake motherfucker. he every movie he's in. Okay, if you've seen This Is the End, the movie where all the actors are playing themselves in the not the Holocaust, the Rapture. My God, that's a whole other movie. So all the actors are playing themselves in the Rapture. Jonah Hill is playing, like, a really douchey, pretentious version of himself. That's really him. That's actual Jonah Hill.
That's him. That's that character. That character made this movie.
Yes. Absolutely.
He like watched a bunch of film students for like a week and was like, yeah,
I think I could do that.
I can be a director.
I've been acting my whole life.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is Jonah Hill
Could
clearly
step behind the camera.
he doesn't have any actual interests other than imitating life. Acting. That's all he does. Any semblance of like childhood that we see in this movie is just shit that he saw on MTV when he was trying to pretend to be a real person in the early parts of his career. You know what I mean? Like, and then he found a character that he could play in real life, Jonah Hill, and he's been playing Jonah Hill as Jonah Hill for like his whole career, and it's a great. He's
piece
great.
of performance art.
He's right up there with some of the greats. You know, like I don't know, Sean Penn.
I saw this thing. It was like it was this interview with Jonah Hill promoting this movie, and he's like, I've worked with some of like the best directors, you know, of this generation.
Yeah.
You know, Tarantino, Scorsese, Ben Miller.
Oh yeah. Well, he was in Tarantino's worst scene ever when he was a fucking cartoon character Klansman in Django. Yeah, great.
We digress. He was like, you know, I've been on some sets with like some of the best ever. Like it was, you know, like learning how to watching masters at work, and like you pick so much up about filmmaking when you're on set as an actor.
Yeah.
And it, like I wanted to take that as legit because like you see actors who turn into like brilliant directors like Mel Gibson.
That was all acting, Ben. He was just
Yeah.
acting like he had been picking up things on set. And as an actor, really good job. Like really, I believe that he believes that he's a writer-director. But it's just a performance. And it's just this weird, like, we're in this weird Andy Kaufman-esque circle now where, like, I don't know how to get out of it.
Where does the line stop between
I don't know.
Jonah Hill and Jonah Hill?
Yeah, no, it's just like the character in the movie where, like, he didn't exist, and then one day, when the movie began, he did. And that's when he started, like, learning and I like skateboarding. Interesting.
For Jonah Hill, this movie has been going on since 2004 when he wandered into the eBay store on the set of 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, that's right. He was,
and met Judd Apatow on a whim.
It was a complete, just out of luck. Yeah, I mean, the character he was working on, he figured that's how he would have gotten his big break, and that's how it's very meta. I'm surprised that Jonah Hill wasn't in Deadpool. It's just... Let's talk about the music. What's it? So, a little fellow named
Trent
Reznor, thank you, who used to be a musician. I don't know if you remember. He used to be in this band.
He used to be the band, Nine Inch Nails.
He used to be in this band called 9 Inch Nails. He used to play instruments, and he used to do other things than the score for The Social Network, which is apparently just what he does now, because that's how this movie begins, is the score from The Social Network as composed by Trent Reznor, and then it's just silence for the rest of the movie until, like, Jonah Hill's like, put in some, like, African horn there. And it's like, what? What?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, the music is very random.
Yeah.
And at no point is it ever, like...
integrated into the movie.
At no point is it ever California punk rock, is it?
No.
Which this movie is about skaters in California. And there's never, like, I never heard, like, Butthole Surfers or anything. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. This movie felt like, kind of like Suicide Squad.
In reverse?
Like, yeah, movies from, like, songs from the 90s just slapped around.
But, like...
As opposed to actual, like...
no connection to what's going
thematic
on.
Motifs and shit, like actual thought to like James Gunn, for example, like Awesome Mix, where it's the song is actually playing in the movie.
I imagine it was a great struggle to try to connect to zero emotion. So like to try to connect songs with emotion to what literally has nothing. It must have been quite a challenge.
Yeah, it's like how do we spice up that which does not exist?
Yeah. And I do have to say though that Jonah Hill might deserve an Oscar just for definitively proving that white people don't have real problems. That's that's definitely what because there's a moment in this movie when the kid gets in a fight with his mom, Catherine Watterson, aka not Brie Larson, and she gets in a fight with her son over his friends, who are a bunch of vagrants.
Burnout vagrants.
Yeah, and skater punks. And he freaks out and is just like,
Fuck you, mom.
Fuck you, mom. Fuck you, mom. Which, fine. But then he's back with his friends, and they're like, man, are you okay? And, like, he's like, no, just same old shit. And the friend just sits him down and is just like, yeah, well, this guy can't afford socks, and my brother got hit by a car last year and died, and this other guy who looks like a girl, whose name is Fuck Shit, just wants to get fucked up all the time and just wants to party, and that's sad. And this other guy's parents drink and beat him. What's your problem again?
My brother calls me
yeah,
the F word.
He's just like, I'm angsty, like, yeah. I don't know. And it's, I guess, like, maybe that's the point of the movie, is like, even if you have no problems at all and you live a perfectly healthy, nice life, you can still pretend like you are really upset and fit in with the people that have real problems, and that's fine.
You're giving it too much credit.
I think that's what this movie is saying, is that if you don't have real problems and your friends do, that's okay. You could still act sad for yourself and pretend like you have real problems, and still hang out with your friends that do have real problems and not feel bad for yourself. I mean, granted, you're a terrible fucking person if you're doing that, and stop feeling bad for yourself, but do it. It's fine. Like, your friends aren't going to say anything.
My whole day's ruined because me and my brother got fought over who gets to play PlayStation first.
Me and my brother got in a big fight because my brother tricked me into stealing money, and then I sold him out to my mom. It's like, the shit they're doing, like, he deserved to get his ass beat for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, his brother...
Snitches get stitches, fam.
His brother's a dickhead, too, but, like, yeah, they stole money from their mom. The mom caught him, and then was like, obviously you did it, because you're the fuck-up. And he was like, yeah, he did it. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, I don't feel bad for when you eventually get your ass beat later. And I don't feel bad for the brother for getting it blamed on him, because he is a shithead.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they don't have problems. Their problems are completely their own.
Yeah, they are manufactured.
Like, oh, their daddy's not around. Their mom's a whore. Which they explicitly say in the movie.
Yeah.
That's apparently the only problem. Their mom seems cool.
Mom seems pretty normal.
Other than, like, she wants to get donked every now and then. Which, hey, Jonah Hill, your mom got donked. Everyone's mom gets donked. That's how we were born. Like
Kanye said, none of us would be here without cum.
Yeah. Hey. And, if Kanye says it, it's crazy. So yeah, I think we're getting kind of to the end of this. We've gone through most of this movie. I will say, going back to the point about the white people problems and, like, all of his other friends and their issues, literally every other kid in this movie would have been more interesting to follow than the kid that we do follow.
Oh yeah.
Like
they all actually have lives.
Yeah, they have interest. They actually have some stuff that's set up that we don't really see much of. But I was, like, slightly more interested in what was going on with them. And at least the scenes where they're, like, hanging out and talking shit, you can at least, like, feel like you're going with something. Like, there's something there when it's just all the kids hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever it gets into drama or trying to be deep, it falls apart. But when the kids are just being kids and, yelling fuck shit at each other and whatever, it's cute.
Yeah, I mean... There's a little, even if it's super base, like, where you're, like, some nostalgia where it's like, yeah, I remember hanging out and shooting shit with my friends, like, at that age. So, yeah, it's not like this movie's completely devoid of value, because you can still
that's
get your member berries, yeah.
But it's also, like, that's the whole movie.
Yeah, that's the only amount of actual narrative substance is member berries.
It's like they tried to stretch out, it's like your favorite It's like it's like your best weekend growing up. You know, you had a great weekend growing up and you really remember like, oh, I packed in all this stuff and I went to this party and I got laid for the first time, or all this shit happens. And it's like he tried to stretch that one night into 2 hours, and then he's like, fuck. They already made a movie and it's called Dazed and Confused. And it already does this really well. What do I do now? And I already made this exact same joke earlier. But it's true. Like, he just has this great kernel of an idea, and it just does nothing with it.
Yeah.
It's been done. We've all lived this before. It's something we can all relate to, and it just falls flat.
Or just watch Superbad.
Superbad. Another great... Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, of course. But, like, Dazed and Confused, Superbad, both, all better examples of what this is trying to be. So, on that note, let's go to final thoughts. So, Ben, final thoughts on Mid90s.
Mid90s was definitely the longest hour that I've spent in a cinema this year.
The longest hour for not finishing the movie.
Oh my God. I literally thought we were like closing in on the end, because I was like, oh, I've been here for at least an hour and 20 minutes. And Scott like came back in from the bathroom. I was like, it's just now an hour in total. I was like, what in the fuck?
Yeah.
But really flat, point and shoot, slice of life nonsense that thinks it's a lot more than it actually is. But it did give me a little bit of hanging out with my boys, member berries, that, gives it from being a 0. But I would still give this a two skateboard wheels out of 10. Poor. Stick to acting, Jonah.
Yeah, totally. This movie, it's all just looks like somebody shot it through cellophane, like a blue piece of cellophane, and it just has this, like, indie movie, look how artistic I am, this is definitely going to be at TIFF and Sundance, and it just makes you want to throw up in your mouth. It's just sickening. I hated this movie, and I hate Jonah Hill, and I hope he chokes on this movie to death. No, I'm just kidding. This movie is really bland, and it's just so boring, excruciatingly boring to watch. The character has seemingly no motivation other than being bad, sort of. Whatever, just skip it. This isn't worth your time. The editing's bad. The cinematography is boring. Most of the acting is flat. There's a couple of good actors here and there that I thought were interesting, like the friends. But unfortunately, the movie wasn't about them. It was about this dumb kid and his dumb white family and their dumb white problems. So I give Mid90s, aka Indie Movie the Movie, Indie Fest 3000. I give it one. What's from the movie?
Discman. Give it a disc.
I give it one Discman out of 10.
Man.
Discman. Discmen. Do you remember that from the 90s? Do you remember Ren and Stimpy? Do you remember Beavis and Butthead? Do you remember when the 80s was 10 years ago because it's the 90s? Do you remember skateboarding?
Do you remember being born?
Do you remember life? Oh, wait. Okay. Speaking of, this will be a good ender for us. I said I was going to get back into the nickname, Sunburn. The kids, the friends, nickname Stevie Sunburn, right? The reason for this is the first time that he's hanging out with them, the kids are playing a game where they ask each other racially charged questions, I guess. I was confused by that. There's a lot of just things that don't make any sense in this movie, which we kind of skipped over. But at one point, one of the friends asks if black people can get sunburn. And they start laughing. And then they look at Stevie, our main character, and they say, "Did you know that? Do you have any questions?" And then he pauses for what feels like 10 years. And then after an eternity finally says, "What are black people?" And then they call him Sunburn. Like, that's literally what happens.
Yeah.
And, like, there's, like, a huge pause after he asked, what are black people? And I genuinely didn't know if he was asking or not. Like, that's the weird... I like, later on in the movie, I determined that he said that as a joke.
If anything, it lends credence to your theory that he was born the day the movie started.
That's what I'm saying.
Because he was just hanging out. He just assumed they were all people.
He was like...
And then when they were talking about, like, race, he was like, what is this?
It's like that Community thing where he's like... Sorry, Dad, I've got a script for this board game. And he's like, don't you see, son? Our whole life is a joke. We're just a joke written for a TV show. We don't even exist. Like, that's this kid. He, like, doesn't exist. Like, this movie is his whole life.
Yeah.
Like,
he's just a pretentious, lame, boring creation by Jonah Hill.
That's right. Who's a boring... talent, or not? He's a facade of a human being, Jonah Hill, making a movie about people who are facades.
Do not act like human beings at all.
So, on that wonderful note, I think that's it for this week. Join us next week as we review Bohemian Rhapsody. Oh, Christ.
What's the lyric?
Let me tell you, we won't be walking out of this one. At least the music will be able to get us through.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be another painful experience. This movie looks like dog shit. If you want my early thoughts, I think Bohemian Rhapsody looks like a big old pile of dog shit.
Well, it has everyone's favorite auteur, Bryan Singer.
I thought you were going to say Rami Malek or... whatever his name is. What's his name?
Rami Malek.
Rami Malek?
Yeah.
Mr. Robot?
Mr. Robot, yeah.
All right. He's a weird looking dude.
Yeah, I don't watch the show. I really have no... Everyone's like, oh, Rami Malek. I'm like...
Well, he was on Drake and Josh. Wait, what was that show where he was the gay friend? No.
Degrassi?
No, he was on this show. Oh my God, we're going way off the rails. Okay, that's it for this week. We'll go in. If you want to know what show I'm talking about, where it's starring Rami Malek as a secret gay kid, tune in next week. That's a real thing, and we'll tell you, because I'll look it up and figure out what it's called. And as always, I'm Scott.
I'm Ben.
And this has been a review. Thank you for listening.